Yeah, I should probably do something about that. Hey, once again, Pathfinder Gaming joins me for the weekly war review. We're going to be talking about the Cosmic Crucible and some upcoming content that we're going to be covering here on the weekly war review. Also, we've got some cool teams to show off for you, plus your questions. I'm Run 7. Welcome to the Situation Room. Okay, so Pathfinder joins me today, and he's got some stuff to talk about. We're going to be going over the blog a little bit. Now, normally we focus on war topics and stuff like that, but we have a new game mode coming and some other game modes that he takes issue with, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that too. So lots going on. We're just going to start at the top, the Age of Apocalypse and the new event mode. So what is it that you do not like about these Scourge events? What's going on with them?
I just wish I had more information on it. One, I mean, I know that they can't tell us everything, but clearly this is coming soon-ish if Dark Hunters and Web Warriors are the first two teams. And then I just don't understand why we're reskinning Dark Dimension under the guise of needing to have two teams now to unlock a legendary character, because that's what this seems like to me, especially if they're going to go forward with all four of them needing two teams. It just seems extra to me. It kind of seems a little complicated, but I'm really excited for what characters they might be. So I mean, at least from that standpoint, it kind of got me.
Yeah, I'm not so frustrated about them reskinning Dark Dimension. I understand from a production point that they're just trying to save resources and get content out. It really sucked going into tower mode and seeing that it was Blitz. You know, like they didn't even try. On this one, hey, look, we've got a new color scheme in the background and the nodes are shaped like little pyramids. So, okay. But there is a little bit different. Let's see if we get some other pictures here. So I'm showing this screen here, the pestilence things that you can activate and stuff. And there's some new meters and some buttons. And we've got this silhouette of a character that they probably blacked out because that's going to be somebody that we're unlocking. I think there's a little bit more effort done into this one than they did with the Blitz reskin for tower mode. And so that's
Absolutely.
This is an acceptable level of effort. They took something, they reskinned it with this and they tried a little bit more than they did with tower mode, and the features and stuff are obviously different than Dark Dimension. It operates completely different from Dark Dimension, but it is a Dark Dimension reskin. And so the look of it is in the acceptable range for me. Now, the two teams though, yeah, that kind of bothers me, right? They're just making us build wider.
Yeah, and at least they're going to be usable teams, right? I mean, with the addition of Tower and the announced PvP mode that I'm sure we're going to get to soon, at least those teams that are in this are going to be used in those modes, or at least I'm assuming they're going to be used in those modes. Dark Hunters looked pretty legit when you fought them in tower mode, though, although those stats are probably a little inflated. But yeah, I'm excited to build Dark Hunters. That's a cool team. The Web Warriors are really useful in raids, so at least they have their uses. Hopefully they continue that trend, and it's not just brand new teams for the other three.
I'm really glad that they didn't mention that it was going to be Young Avengers in this Scourge event thing or whatever this is. Because I that's a war defense team, and most of the community, I think, really doesn't approve of the war defense teams. Give them like a raid tag or something. Give me a way that I can forget about that team. Please don't make that team unlockable for the next Blade legendary or whatever. I don't know if it's Blade. Don't jump on me in the comment section. I don't know who it is. But yeah, like you said, Dark Hunters looks like an interesting and fun team. I personally am going to be taking Voodoo into Dark Dimension, I think, trying out him with a healer ISO, not the skirmisher ISO, and seeing how that operates. But anyway, it's an interesting team, and I'm okay that they chose those teams. But yeah, now it's like two teams to unlock the next legendary is basically what it is. Are they going to be doing away with legendaries, with mythic legendaries? Is this the new thing? They're going to just replace them with these events?
Man, I hope not. I think that the mythic legendaries seem easier than what this is going to be. I know that the mythic legendaries, people have issue with that because, you have to get a certain gear tier at a certain ISO. But it seems to me like to get through these, scourges or whatever they're called, you're going to need pretty sizable teams to get a high amount of points.
Right. And I'm hoping that the point system is a little more level rather than that the people who make it to the top by a large margin. I would rather just a flat curve, not that asymmetric curve that they've been doing with like tower mode, where it was like, 1% was separated from the 2% and below by a large margin. And it's just like, who cares? If you can't make it to the top floor, who cares? On this, I'm just hoping that I'm hoping that we're allowed to use our skill, and that if we can't build or don't want to build the team as big, we could rely on some skill or good team placement or whatever to counteract that and get further. You can activate more of those Scourge things that they talked about and get more points that way. It would be really nice, and then have that be effective. Because if it's just, hey, I have a huge roster so I can activate 90% of these Scourge things and get all the way to the end of it, and then they get the top 1% and everybody else is left behind in the dust by miles, then it's going to be unfortunate again. And I want more skill involved in this game and less emphasis on just spending money on a big wide roster. There's plenty of videos that cover the blog post. This isn't a blog post video. We're just talking about some of these things that we enjoy and are passionate about. And one thing that I'm actually looking forward to coming up here is the new PvP mode. In the second 2021 preview, we announced that production had begun on a brand new tournament-style game mode. We're happy to announce the official name of that feature, Cosmic Crucible. Development of this feature is on track, and we're working on setting up a play test within the next couple of weeks where over 100 players will get hands-on with the feature and provide feedback. Now, keep in mind, the 100 players are almost exclusively going to be from the top alliances, the biggest spenders in the game. So it'll probably be their perspective. It has been every time in the past, right? They've always used the top guys, right?
Yeah, I believe so. When they tested Alliance Tour, I think they tested like the top 4 alliances, and then with the ISO, I think they tested like top 4, top 10, something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think they kind of have to do that. I would like a little bit more feedback from the mid-range of the game, but it's hard to find players who are very, very knowledgeable and can give them good feedback. They kind of do have to take from the top of the list. They're not even going to ask somebody like me who's I'm a 1,000-day player. They'd never ask me. It's only, day one players and Kraken spenders that they look to. But those playtests do improve the quality of the content that we get from Scopely, so I am very glad that they're doing that. I don't care who they get in the playtest, but just get some genuine player feedback, because they don't really play their own game the way that we do, and it really helps when they do those player feedbacks. So take a look at this background here. I kind of like the image that they're using. We've seen those images, the artwork before. It looks like this is what they're going to go with. They hinted in the Strike Time video that there's some sort of an interaction with the battlefield of some sort, or something. They couldn't really tell us much, but they basically said that these battlefields are going to be much more than anything we've seen before. Do you have any ideas on what they were talking about in that Strike Time video?
No, but I certainly think having, more than just a still screen, if it's just animation based, I mean, that would be kind of cool. If it has some effect on the game, that would kind of be cool to kind of play around with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be kind of neat if you had like a flawless victory and all 5 of your team were still standing, if the animations did something different. Or maybe it depends on, I don't know. It could be anything, but they alluded to some sort of interactivity or movement that occurs in these new backgrounds, and anything could be better than the boring backgrounds that we're stuck with so far. Let's see here. In the meantime, we do have some additional details that we can share with you, but please keep in mind that these are subject to change. Subject to change, that's important. Players are grouped into 8-person brackets based on their matchmaking rating. During the Swiss-style tournament, players are matched against other players every round. Players have 6 defense teams and attack the defenses of their opponents during the time window. So it's kind of like a one-on-one war with 6 rooms. You go in, you attack them 6 times with your teams. I'm curious if you get to attack a team multiple times, or if you have to get them in one shot. Like, does it reset? Like, so would it matter that Heroes for Hire get recharges? If you just get one shot at them, things like that. I don't know. Tournaments will be grouped into seasons, each of which is expected to have its own set of rewards. Matchmaking will be based on rating system, and players will be separated into divisions based on their wins and losses. Players win rounds by defeating more rooms than their opponents. Players earn victory points by defeating enemy teams, which are used to determine the winner in a case of a tie. If a tie in victory points, the player that initiated the fewest number of attacks wins. If a tie in the number of wins, the player with the highest TCP of teams used wins, which is weird that they're going at the highest TCP. Okay, let me scroll this up so everybody can see. If a tie in the number of wins, the player with the highest TCP of teams used wins. And I think they should be going with the lowest. Wouldn't that show that you have the more skill? Like if you went in with a smaller team and were able to do everything the other opponent did?
Yeah, this is the line of text from this that I really do not like at all. And that you're incentivized to bring in the highest possible team, not be the most efficient. So if you haven't seen it run, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes has a very similar, or at least similar sounding game mode, and it's called the Grand Tournament. So it's definitely something to check out if you want to kind of have a preview of what it looks like. The thing that I liked about, because I played Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes for a little bit, the thing I liked about the Grand Tournament is that you were incentivized to be more efficient. So if like you took in a team, let's just use an example of like you took in Icarus and Cersei and that's it. So only 2 characters. You would get more points by not bringing in a full team. I hope that this playtest brings that aspect into it, because that brings so much more theory crafting than saying highest TCP wins.
Yeah, I'm actually curious if this is if this word highest is actually a mistake and they meant to say lowest, because it just seems to me like why in the world would you do the highest TCP other than Scopely wants us to build bigger teams? But that just, I mean, that one word right there just ruins the aspect of it. Like you said, bringing in that smaller team for that efficiency win is the spirit of this contest. And I'm really hoping that they ram that down their throats in the playtest and say, no, this highest line needs to be flipped.
And I think the other thing that bugs me is why can't we just have a tie? If I am the maximum like efficiency that I can do, and my opponent also has the maximum amount of efficiency they could do, and we have the same score, why couldn't we end in a draw? I mean, we both played to the best that we could play. Why does TCP even have to come into it?
That's a very good point. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a very good point. Yeah. The only benefit is to the company. It's really all it is. So, especially if they're going with the highest, there is no benefit to the player. It's all about them getting money. Okay, seasons will have global rules that grant certain bonuses to all rooms. I like that, switching it up, keeping it fresh. There will also be room rules that grant specific bonuses or apply restrictions in combat in a certain room. That'll be interesting, so you can use different teams in different ways. They're creating a lot of variety. I'm actually pretty excited with, aside from that highest TCP line, I'm actually really excited about all the stuff that they say in here. There will be a limited number of times a player can attack one room. There will not be unlimited attempts. Oh, so a limited number of times. Okay, there's the answer to my question. I was curious if we would be able to attack multiple times. So obviously we're going to get characters that have the CC tag on them, so that, that's what they've already said they're gonna introduce characters that are designed for this game mode. And I'm hoping that we don't get a team like the Heroes for Hire, but for the Crucible. That would kind of suck, but I'm sure that's what we're gonna get.
I really hope that this playtest makes light of a couple of those things, and I hope they just focus on the fun. I mean, rewards are great. I hope they don't tie a massive amount of rewards to this, because it sounds so much fun. It sounds like I can create teams that can counter certain teams. Maybe you make a crazy defense that somebody can't get past. You can, decide, one match you want to turtle versus going heavy on offense. I mean, there's so many different things that you could do to have fun in this game mode. And that's what I want it to be about, is the fun.
I'm very excited about it, and you can bet that we will be covering it here on the Weekly War Review. We'll be including all of these battles and ideas. This is probably going to become the bread and butter of this segment, because this is interesting and fun stuff. You know, I do a lot of stuff on war, and this is going to take it to the next level. And if, like you said, if they can focus on the fun of this aspect, it'll be a great boon for the game. Based on a rating system, and players will be separated into divisions based on their wins and losses. Does that mean that if I'm really, really good, I could go up against a fat roster like Taco Shooter's roster or Philosopher's roster or something?
I have to assume that it's similar to war, and that at a certain point, you just aren't going to win. So I would love it to be based on a TCP bracket, which again, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes has something similar, in that if you're a 4 million TCP roster, but you're really good at this game mode, you're eventually going to just go up against somebody who has a 10 million roster, and you're just not going to be able to win.
You're just going to hit the wall.
They do brackets versus like TCP brackets.
Now in Swaga, they originally, when that mode started out, they had some trouble with matchmaking, didn't they?
I believe so. I certainly wasn't around that early in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, but I do know that it took a long time for them to really get it right. But it certainly, and at least from what I remember, it certainly became one of the most, favorite game modes of a lot of people.
Now I know for a fact that the message of Swaga having trouble with their matchmaking has been sent to the devs, and whether they're going to listen to it or not, I don't know. But I know that there's people telling them, hey, you've got to get matchmaking right on this. So with that play test going on, I'm hoping that they can work out those kinks and make that happen. I personally would just love it if it was not limited to the size of my roster, so that my skill could take me further. And if it's 6 teams, 6 defensive teams and 6 offensive teams, I don't have to build my roster too incredibly wide to excel if I want to in this game mode. And let's go down to the rewards down here. Rewards will be granted based on your division. The higher your division placement, the better the rewards you will earn. Most details regarding the content of rewards have not yet been established, but we do intend to include orange gear and teal gear. So if I'm really good at this, if I'm a skilled player, if I invest in the right 6 to 12 teams, I guess, I feel the way this reads that I could, punch up on some big rosters. And that's my hope, is that I'm allowed to use my skill and ingenuity to succeed in this game mode. We'll see. They may just force us to be like, well, you're stuck in the 14 mil bracket. You don't get to go that much higher. That would suck. That would suck for me. What are you doing to prepare for the Crucible? Are you even doing anything? Is it too early, or is there something you might think about?
I think that you probably need to really look at your roster and decide, how many teams do I feasibly have right now that I can use. So, you have the staples, right? Like you have Infinity Watch, you have, for a lot of endgame players, you have the Secret Avengers that are a great team, you have the New Warriors that are a great team, you have great plug and play characters like Doom, Silver Surfer, Kestrel, Phoenix. You have some of these characters that can fill in niches. And then I would look at, what are some teams that you might be interested in bringing up? For me, I think that Ravagers are actually, crazily enough, a team that I'm really interested in and have a lot of fun uses and really aren't that bad. I do think that, as hard as this, hits me, the Young Avengers are going to play a factor in this new mode. I've seen plenty of, things out there on them beating Infinity Watch in Arena. And with that mechanic of, removing the ability to assist, I think that could definitely play a factor, whether it's on offense or defense. But there are so many teams that we have available to us, and you're right. 12, that's nothing for a lot of in-game players, at least.
Yeah. Anybody who's serious about war already has 14 offensive teams and 10 defensive teams. So that's a huge pool to work through. And let's not forget, some of these defensive teams, like Heroes for Hire, are not going to be nearly as effective in this game mode because it's not war. All those war tags that you have for an offensive or a defensive team, those aren't going to apply in here, at least not at this stage. And so you may want to look at those teams in a different light and say, okay, well, the Dark Hunters looks like a great war offensive team, but maybe I'm going to drop so-and-so and replace them with this other person because they're really good in war, but not anywhere else. And so they're not going to be as effective. And so we're going to be theory crafting a lot. Also, one thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be very, very slowly setting aside enough resources for an entire team of 5 to go from 0 to gear tier 14 and all the other. I'm going to be trying to stockpile that gold so that when the Crucible lands, I have a feeling they are going to release 2 or 3 characters and possibly as much as a whole team of characters for us to build up and put into the Crucible, and I want to be ready for that. So it'll be a long, slow simmer there, but I will be maybe shaving a little bit of my gold savings and really setting it aside for the long term because I want to be ready when this drops. And I think that's the best thing I could possibly do is not build anything for Crucible and instead just keep it in mind as I save and hoard gear and gold.
Like you said, only having 6 defensive teams, 6 offensive teams, it's most people have that already. Mm-hmm. At least you can field that. I certainly think it gives way to a lot of creativity, which I'm hoping is the case.
Yeah, I think it's gonna
all about the Crucible characters. Ugh.
Right. I think it's gonna add, if they don't go too heavy on the Crucible tag, I think it's gonna add a lot of value to our plug and play characters, especially for those people who are good at theory crafting. You'll be able to plug in a solo squirrel girl in a different team than the YA and get a lot of value out of that because of the timing of her cleanse or whatever. And how much can we preview the teams on the opponents? Like are we able to preview them and spend 24 hours theory crafting how to go into this, or 23 hours, and then that last hour jump in there and try our attacks out? Or do you have to waste one of your attacks just to see what they have in the room? That might be a thing too. If you get 3 attacks per room, you got to waste one of them just to find out what's in there. That who knows? So I'm not really sure.
If it's anything like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, I'm assuming they're cloning a lot of this from that game. Mm-hmm. But you could see the front rooms. Since there's only 6 teams, I'm not sure how they're going to do it. So in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, I think you had 2 front rooms and 2 back rooms. I mean, they've grown so much from that point. I think they're on to 3 layers of rooms now with all these additional teams that you can use. I wouldn't be surprised within the rest of this year. I mean, unless the Crucible comes out in summer, I wouldn't be surprised if they raise the amount of teams from 6 to 8, and then you have 2 in each room. But I believe you can see the front stuff, but you couldn't see the back. So you would have to kind of guess.
Kind of like in War, how you used to be able to see the first 2, and then they upgraded it to the first 4.
Yeah.
No, that'd be a good setup too. I kind of like that. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities for this game mode, and I'm very looking forward to seeing what they do. I'm very glad that they're doing the play testing. That always makes these game modes just 3 times better when they do a play test. Just infinitely better when they do play testing. So that's going to be really. All right, so Wolvis sent this in to me, and I thought it was pretty interesting. We're starting to come up. I think we're getting close to 100 people unlocking Dormammu. I think at the time of this recording, there were about 80 or 85 or something. I don't. So we're starting to see some more Dormammus in the alliances. Now, Wolvis told me the story of how he came across this specific account. His account does not have a Dormammu in it. However, it is in a arena shard that has a Dormammu in it that he gets to practice fighting against. The cool thing about this is he won this account in a PvP match. Can you imagine going pink slips on your MSF account? That's just crazy to me. But anyway, he beat somebody and they handed over their account to him. And so he's using this account to go into Dormammu's, and he sent me this video so we can check it out and see he's using this team to beat a Dormammu team. And we'll take a look here and see how this plays out. Get the loading screen here. My goodness, we don't need to see that. Okay. You can see he is using Icarus, Cersei, Black Bolt, Doom, and Dormammu. And this is how he does it. Now, of course, I've never played against a Dormammu ever. I've never made it that high in tower. There's none in my wars, and there's none in my arena shards. But this looks like a pretty cool way to showcase how you can beat Dormammu, how you can prepare for when these Dormammus start filtering into your arena shard, or just keep this in mind if you're about to unlock your Dormammu. Maybe you want to watch out and come up with a different build than what he decided to use here. What about you, Pathfinder? You got any Dormammus in your shards?
I know that I have a couple that are at the top, but unfortunately, arena is the kind of the thing that slips on my account out of everything that I do. So yeah. I'm not quite up there to fight them, but this is a really interesting counter. I like that Jubilee is a part of that. I also love that Icarus just yeeted Black Bolt off the face of the earth in one attack. That's just power creep incarnate, right? A year ago we would have laughed at the fact that a character could one-shot a Black Bolt.
I know. It makes me wonder, when Black Bolt came out and everybody was like, oh, he's the end all be all. And I was like, yeah, he's got that cool, ping, and that's very useful and will keep him valuable for a while. But I was just like, he's just all stats, man. He's just all stats, and he's gonna get power crept. And he's no longer a top 10 character. He's no longer the best in the game. I'm not saying he's bad by any means. I mean, obviously, people are finding value for him, although he gets his ass kicked here. But I'm glad that I didn't put quite so many resources into Black Bolt. And I have the option of taking him up to 14 or 15 or 16 if I want to. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think his day is come and gone. But yeah, I really like the Jubilee in here. It's an eternal speed meta team kind of thing, and it just shows you how you can go about dealing with that. Now, I'm not sure how big was the Dormammu in this. I didn't even see. Let's see if I can rewind and find out where he was targeted.
Hopefully, it was a max Dormammu.
I'm hoping it wasn't just a baby Dormammu, because that would be kind of useful. He's fully maxed. Yeah, he's got the red stars. He's fully maxed Dormammu, 197k. So. That's that's a big boy.
I have also seen Star-Lord T'Challa being used. I think I saw a video somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but I saw an arena video of Dormammu with Star-Lord T'Challa. So that's an interesting one to think about too.
If you guys have footage of Dormammus, that's going to be kind of a hot thing, so be sure to send them in. We'll talk about it some more and go over some interesting ideas. It's not something I need to push a lot, but this just came in. Thank you, Wolvis, for sending this in to me. I'll put a link to this video and his content, his YouTube channel, if you want to go see some of his other stuff, and you can check that out down below. All right, let's move on to something else here. My Discord sent in a question for me. This is coming in from Stocky, actually. Stocky asked me if this is an efficient use of your Eternals. Well, Stocky, if you're not using your Eternals to blow up those Dormammus like we just saw, then clearly it's not efficient. No, I think this is fine. I think that this is a fine defense to be placing your Eternals on with Chavez. It's very simple. If you don't care about war, this is a great thing to do. What you do want to do, though, is take a look at your 14 attack teams, the maximum amount of attack teams that you're gonna do, and see if there's anybody left over that might help change this a little bit. If you could throw Loki in here, it would make Cersei go first and soften up the enemies, so Icarus is more able to get a double tap. If you could toss in somebody like Thanos, now of course that's not gonna work for Stocky because he's gonna be using the Black Order as a full team, but if you happen to not have everybody unlocked in the Black Order, maybe you could throw in Thanos adjacent to Icarus, and that'll feed him energy so you can get 2 uses out of this team. There's a lot of stuff that you could add to this, but if you're not that serious about war, this is a great and very, very efficient thing to do. Leave those shield guards in there. It makes that big number at the top very, very deceiving, with 130 and 160 Eternals. Yeah, they're gonna blow stuff up. Also, if you decide to build up your America Chavez, I highly suggest you make her a striker. I didn't think she was worth being a striker, but I'm seeing some big ones. I'm seeing some big ones that are knocking me out. I am underestimating them, and they are doing serious damage. So as a striker, if you can get some vulnerables on the field or something, that works really well. She's better at this power level on this team. She's great as a skirmisher. But I thought I would say that. But yes, I think this is efficient, but you probably could do better. All right, I've got a question coming in from Batik. And Pathfinder, this one, I think you could be able to handle this. You got some good insight into some of these characters. He says, when the Tadano Mac rewards drop, should I use the 5 red star on Cloak or Dagger? I have them both at 4 red right now. Dagger is all damage, so I can see her benefiting more from the additional red star. Cloak is squishy, so that should help there. Personally, I'm leaning towards Dagger. What do you recommend?
I would definitely choose Dagger over Cloak if given the choice. I think that just her raw damage is just more than what Cloak can provide. I do think that, overall, we get enough silver promos these days that I think Cloak should still be on your list to take to 5, but the free one, I would definitely use it on Dagger.
I think, personally, I'm gonna go for Dagger. Well, actually, I have 5 on Cloak already, so I'm going to go for Dagger. But if it's a debate for you, I think Dagger's the way to go. You're right, Cloak is squishy, but Dagger's the damage dealer. And this team has some great longevity too, so I wouldn't hesitate to spend your promotion tokens bringing them both up. It's a 3-piece team, so down the road we'll see 4. Yeah. Oh, did you?
Yeah,
that's too. Yeah, that's
300 silver. So.
Yeah, we never know when we're gonna waste our promo tokens. I think that this team has a lot of longevity. Being a 3-piece team, we're gonna see other characters come out for the new Warriors on down the road, and this team will get revitalized. This is a great time to be promoting with your promotion tokens, either of them. I do think, however, that Dagger is probably the way to go on that one. All right, Shax is coming in with a question. This one's a little bit more for me. They saw that I put the healer ISO on Scarlet Spider, and they ask, I don't know if I've missed you talking about this, but is it worth putting healer on Scarlet Spider over Raider? I know a while back you were testing it, so I was wondering if you would still recommend a swap. I can't, in good conscience, recommend people do it. I, however, don't have any problems with it at all so far. The team's been doing everything I need them to do. I enjoy that, watching those green zeros roll across the screen, and they are almost always zeros. The team is situated where if they get hit hard, they can die, but they gotta get hit, and that's the thing. They tend to not get hit, and if they do get hit once, the healing that's native to them is usually enough to fill them back up over time. So it's not very necessary, I don't think. But my team's been working, so I'm not going to tell people don't do it. But I do believe that the value is in the Raider. I think it's the safe pick. Most people are going Raider, and that's the one that I would recommend to everybody else. Pathfinder, what did you do on Scarlet Spider? You went Raider?
I have everybody at Raider but Miles. He's a striker, but honestly, that team is so powerful in raids that you're going to have a hard time unless you just go really wonky in all of them. I don't think it'll matter too much, and okay. I'm doing Doom 2.3 daily, so I don't think it's gonna matter. Okay.
And what do you think about going skirmisher on the OG Spider-Man? Peter Parker.
I don't think it's needed. That's just my personal opinion. I have a 6 red OG Spider-Man, but he's only level 75 still. I've yet to take him all the way up, and he's landing everything I need him to. And people in my alliance have even said that at 4 and 5 red, they're landing, reliably what they need to land.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty well with my mutants. I have Jubilee as a striker. A lot of people will say she has to be a skirmisher, but she's landing everything I need her to do, so I'm not going to change her. I'm prepared to, but I'm not going to change her at this time. And then the one that actually I stumble on once in a while is when I swap in Omega Red on the mutants for that mutant boss node to take care of the Doom. Once in a while, he does not land his ability block, and it's driving me nuts. So I may end up turning him to a skirmisher. I don't know. I have 7 red stars on him, so when he comes around again, he'll go from 5 red to 7 red, and then we'll see. If he still misses that, like even once, I may switch him over to Skirmisher just for that, because that's pretty good. If you guys haven't seen Pathfinder's video, he's got some stuff on how to get through that mutant boss with something other than just a straight axeman, and it's a good watch. I made it work, so if I can make it work, I know you guys can make it work too. So check that one out. Pathfinder, is there anything that you needed to tell people that is super important? Anything else about the cosmic, what is it, Cosmic Cradle? God, I'm never going to remember that name. The Cosmic Crucible, is there any other war activities that you need to let people know about, or maybe just some content that you want to talk about?
And I would just say don't panic. Don't panic. Spend resources on stuff just because things have been announced. I think that's something that Scopely wants you to do. I would say, chat with your alliance, watch, other content creators that, are doing this and that are really smart, and, figure out what works best for you, and just in general, have fun. This is about fun. We do this as something to get away from all of the troubles and, hard times in the world right now. And that's what it should be about. So have fun. If you're not in a place where you're having fun, try to find a place that's having fun.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I really appreciate joining me. If you guys want to find Pathfinder stuff, I'll give you links to his Discord server, his content that he's putting out on YouTube. Is there any place else you're currently putting out content? You got like a OnlyFans or something?
That's a shout out to Kane right there. He thinks that I'm gonna start an OnlyFans gaming channel, but I have started a Twitch channel as well. We've been going for a couple weeks, getting the kinks out, but you could certainly follow me there as well. That would always be appreciated.
Yeah, he streams too late for me. I don't get to catch anything, but my wife watches you all the time. She tells me all about it, so I'm usually too tired out from the kids. Okay, thank you guys for joining us. Remember, good luck in matchmaking, Commanders. We'll catch you next time. Bye.